Happy Tuesday, everybody. Here we are again in For the Love of Dragons. Araya Anra coming to you live as I do every Tuesday. Whew. Can you guys feel the fire energy this week? I know the fires out west here have settled down. They've got them predominantly contained, but there is some other big energies that are propelling us forward. And interestingly, I often feel to dress or clothe myself in the energy field and the color of the energies that are around. And I'm not surprised that I went in my closet and was drawn very much to a soothing, soft green, a let's quench, let's pull some energy back down into softness, into gentleness from this amazing amount of powerhouse energy that is building right now. So you hopefully are feeling that. If you need to, make sure to call in the water dragons to cool it down. Do what you need to do to just soothe yourself, reprieve, and rest, and drop into a gentle flow. Call it in if it's churning and burning a little too much for you, if it's getting a little too active, too hot, I know I have friends that are like, I just can't, I feel so constricted in clothing, I need to take this off, I'm just, wow. So do what you need to do to take care of yourself, but know that this is really good heat, really good fire energy that's building up from the belly, up from the base to push us forward. It's a propulsion energy. And I find it interesting that after the new moon that was over a week ago, the energy of that new moon last week was really a launch pad forward. So, you know, I really remember things days ago. If it comes in, it's because it needs to, it's present, and that tie-in to remembering that as the launch pad really fits now with this rocket energy, this propulsion forward that's pushing us towards the 0 point doorway. So tap into that. If you are wanting to really dive into it, you can call forth any of that fire lineage, the fire dragon, the deep Carnelian dragon in the deep earth. You've got the ruby dragon in the middle earth. You've got the black dragon in the intergalactic realm. You've got the gold dragon up in the fifth dimensional realm. So lots of powerhouse fire energy from all of that lineage. And lineage is one of the questions I got this week. So I'm going to dive into a series of questions that were emailed to me. Some are really fun and light, and some are like, wow, that really makes you think. So I'm just going to go through the list one at a time and see how far we get today. I might need to save some of them for next week. But I think they will benefit everybody, which is why I love your questions. And coucou over in France. Hello, Annabelle watching from France with us. Be sure to send your questions in. I put a post in on Sunday, and I know we have a lot of new members, and maybe you don't see the posts, but you catch the lives or you catch the YouTube. I get it that not a lot of people are on Facebook right now, or they want to avoid putting too much personal information in. They're just sort of following and watching, but maybe not engaging quite as much. And that's okay. But if you want to email me rather than post anything, especially if you feel like it's a personal question, I can make it non-personal and give the answers so that it benefits everybody. And these do. It's the great thing about them. So this first question here is how to know your cat is dragon. You've heard me talk about that if you've watched some of my lives, and I was asked first maybe 3 years ago if a cat could be a dragon, if that was possible, because there were people that were experiencing this dragon energy around their cats, and they thought, well, is that possible? And so when I went into the reading space with it and was verified and confirmed, but yes, indeed, they can also come into dogs, but they don't as often. Cats seem to be a really good fit for their energy, and they come in to be guardians, to do different things with that person. But I had never experienced a cat in my field, in my home, and I am a cat lover. I've had cats for years and years and years, always probably 2 at a time. And even the cat I have now is dragon, but I hadn't met one up to that point. So oddly enough, a couple of months after that, I went to a shelter and wasn't expecting to get another animal. But we went in and looked at the animals, and this one looked up at me, and as soon as I saw its eyes, I went, oh my gosh, you're a dragon. And it was like he was speaking to me, and it was funny because his name is Arthur, so we called him King Arthur, and King Arthur has a connection to the dragons, Arthur Pendragon. And so he came home with us, and he's been a faithful companion ever since, got along with all the other dogs and cats. But how do you know? How do you know your cat is a dragon? Well, if you start tuning in, there's always a heartline frequency, but for me, the biggest visual confirmation is through the eyes. That you guys know this. The eyes are the window to the soul. It will show that frequency band and signature if you actually tune in eye to eye and allow your heart chakra to open. So eye to eye with that animal. Feel it open, and you will feel something come in that is akin to that dragon energy that you know or recognize and experience. And that's the only way I can say that you'll positively know is looking into the eyes and having that open heart. If you're going to ever get any reading on energy, you have to have an open heart. That's the key to it. If you're struggling to tap into your clair senses, I remember one of the greatest assistants when I was opening more and more to my reading space and reading abilities, being told to imagine all 7 of your chakras, and from the 3rd down to literally close them down to about 10% of their capacity. And people think, well, how do you do that? What does that mean? We get so lost in trying to figure out the how. We have to stick with the power of our intention and our knowing. So you might say, I don't think I know how to do that, but just try it. Set your intention and allow your mental body to send out the energetic of, I want to close down my abdominal chakra, my solar plexus, or my root chakra, or all 3 to 10% of their normal capacity. And you imagine it like an old shutter lens. We don't have lenses on cameras anymore because it's all on phones. But old aperture cameras had a lens that closed in like this or opened up. And if you imagine it closing down like that to 10% open, that actually will help you from getting connected into the emotional space of the read, and only in allowing the heart space and the clair openings that are through your fifth chakra to open more broadly. And you can imagine them open to 100%, even in 10 to 110%. Access as much as possible to do that. And if you have that open heart, you're going to get a read on that animal. Maybe you don't feel like you can communicate with animals yet, but you can. That everybody has that capacity. You can communicate with any conscious living entity. So plants around you, trees around you, animals around you, but it all starts with the open heart. So that's how I know that a cat is a dragon, but a great question. And one that almost everybody is out there thinking that's heard that your cats can have dragon energy in them. How do you know that? What a great question. All right. So the second question here is, how important is saying the mantras rather than listening to them? So this is referring to, in my book, The Dragon Within. So if you're not familiar with it, dragonwithin.com. It's a guidebook that's available as an ebook, paperback, or hardback in English, French, or Spanish. And that is a guidebook to working with the dragons. It's a real introduction to starting with the elementals, what their mantras are, what their stones are, how do you connect with them, how do you breathe with them, what do they do for you? And so this question they have a mantra, they have a signature that is how you connect with them. You're sending that vibration out almost like a phone call. That if I know I want to talk to Susan, that I will dial her number and call out, Susan, hello, Susan. It's no different with your dragon. Their number is their frequency band that comes through in the mantra, which is also part of their name. So our soul signature carries name, frequency, color, geometry, and that is all in that frequency band. And you'll pick up different parts of it, depending on what your openings, your clairs are. So for me, when we ask, is it more important to sound the mantras or listen to them? I would say try both, and which feels more successful for you. It is a great beginning point for people who have not meditated a lot to have the mantra to sound, to have a focal point, because the mantra becomes your focal point to go in to a very deep space. But once you're in that deep space, you lose track of the mantra, and then your mind might take over and think, oh, I stopped the mantra, and it pulls you out of the space. So the mantra is, I would say, a powerful, definitely diving into that gets you into the energy field and invites them in. And once you feel their presence, you can stop sounding it. Now, the nice thing about having the mantra play in the background is that you have that frequency band continuing to sound around you that continues to build a specific space and frequency band for a deeper and deeper connection to that dragon. So if you're playing it from the CD track that comes with the book behind as a loop, each one is maybe 2-3 minutes. If you loop it and just let it play in the background while you're meditating, then you have this incredible background, almost like a white noise that allows some level of you to have a focal point as you dive deeper in through the front of your consciousness, as you allow a deeper in, and you don't have to worry about sounding or anything else. You can relax your mouth, you can relax your body, and just go into a deep state. That's a little bit easier for people that already have a meditation practice and an ability to go into a deep state. So they're both really useful, but you need to try them both and see which works better for you, how they work differently. But neither one is more important than the other. That to answer the question, they're both equally usable, but they interface differently in why they're both present. Even the stones are present. The masters that they work with are present in the book as a line out the metals that they are associated with, or the precious stones, because those are other ways that everybody has a different connection point. So some people might need to hold for the earth dragon that moldavite stone in their hand, or that fire dragon to hold a carnelian in their hand to help attract and pull in that energy into their field, because they're more kinetic, because they're more clairsentient. So that's why all of that list of information is in there for those dragons, because there are different connection points. Say if you want to work with the air dragon and you have a deep connection with Kuan Yin, but you don't have a connection with the air dragon aspect of her and her connection to that air dragon, then being able to use that access point of Kuan Yin to get you in the doorway is a tool. So that's why that list is there, because everyone accesses differently. We all learn differently, we all hear differently, we all see differently, we all experience differently. So we have to have different methods in. There's no one singular path forward in your spiritual expansion and ascension process. So I love how much comes out of one question. That led us into a lot of different avenues. They're going to be helpful little tools and insights for you moving forward. All right, let's see if we have time to tackle one more here. How long will the doorway be open? Or once it's opened, it's open for good, and it's open for good to any point in our journey. So this is talking about the ascension doorway, the 0 point doorway, I call it. And then the following question relates to that. Do you have to be at a certain point in your journey to go through the doorway? So this is also a fantastic question, because people are out there at so many varying stages of awakening, of spiritual expansion. Some are already living it like fully immersed in 5D. I don't think too many. I know there are a lot that are able to go back and forth right now. So the door is open. But we're getting to this place where the 0 point doorway that's out in front of us is literally the gateway that's like, you're now more in 5D, more consistently, more of the, quote, time, because time isn't played the same way in the 5D, than you are in 3D. So this is what the doorway represents. It represents the point at which we let go of clinging to our 3D existence and our 3D body. And it doesn't mean our body's not going forward. It means we're allowing it to shift cellularly, biologically, into its crystalline form, and that as we do all the rest of the bodies, that the physical body's cells will actually start to shift biologically to match that. Biologically, anatomically, morphing forward. So this doorway, and I don't feel like it's too far out in front of us. I feel like it's very, very close. How long is that going to be open? It's part of our ascension process, but there is a how do I want to phrase this? Because time period is not accurate except in 3D. It's very hard to talk about terms moving into the quantum field, and I've gotten a lot of new terminology come in the last months, but this, for those that are in that space to ask this question, it is because of where they're at, and there's almost a fear or a impetus of, oh my gosh, I need to really, I'm not going to make it. The doorway's there, it's going to close. And so it's coming out of a fear place of, how long do I have? Do I need to get my stuff together now? Do I need to really get on it? And that message last week that I shared really was a call out to, hey, are you doing enough? Are you doing what you came here to do? Was the deeper message within it of don't panic, but if you feel the inclination, the impetus, that piece of you calling you forward and saying, you need to start doing this. Well, you could actually do this, and then you fall into mental physical body, fatigue, exhaustion, overwhelm. I'm so distracted with all my work, my family, my chores, homeschooling my kids, trying to get this stuff out and done, all the house repairs, whatever it is. There's all kinds of distractions. But allowing ourselves to know that something has a greater purpose and import in our lives than all of that stuff in this time period. That stuff will happen. And I've learned, this has been my big thing, sharing very personally in transparency of my journey in the last 4 years, going from an A-type, go, gotta get it done. If I have a white list of things to do, I'm going to tackle as many as I can before I collapse in bed at night, and then I don't sleep well because there's all these others that still need to be done. Letting go of that has been the greatest gift, and procession forward, confirmation for me in my journey, looking back of how much I've changed from that, of my growth, of how I've been able to move away from that, because it's very 3D constriction that does not serve us moving forward into living by the heart, living in a flow aligned to our highest self, to our true self and our true passions, our true wisdom, our true knowing of what we're here to do. And as you make that shift, and it can be a subtle, gradual shift, it has been for me, it's going to be bigger leap shifts moving as those that catch up to that point here and now are moving forward, because we're closer to that gateway, we're closer to the doorway. So when you ask, is it going to close or is it open now for whoever gets to that point in their journey? And in all honesty, I think the answer is there is a specific period where it is open and then it will close. And I say that because I can see, so even talking about the subject, I can see the gears, like timepiece mechanism gears, that when we look at time and how it operates, and it's linear, so it's going full circle around a certain cycle of numbers, and this gear turns once and then it meets a bigger cycle that's 1/5 of its cycle. And so this gear has to turn 5 times to get this bigger gear around once. And that bigger gear has to go around 5 times to get the next bigger gear around once. And that bigger gear needs to go around 5 times to get the next bigger gear around once. If you did that on 5 levels, and it's a roughly 26,000 year period. I want to say it's 25,600 years, but knowing that numbers don't need to be exact in this, say it's roughly 26,000 years. That's the cycle that we're coming to a close of, that is bringing us to the potential of the amount of energy flowing into us from the greater central sun. It has to do with astrological alignments. That's not my forte or specialty, but it was explained to me back in 2005 so beautifully by a friend in England who is an astrologer and an astronomer. And talking about it that way with these 5 gears and how they have to come around and then they have to meet up like lines in a safe, in a dial lock system, that in order to open the safe, they all have to be in alignment. So they all have to go round, and then they all have to come to that final cycle to match up the 5th cycle of the largest wheel simultaneously. That's what has happened, and that's what's creating the open doorway. It's a flow of energy coming to us from the greater central sun, from what I call Mother, Father, God, Source, that divine energy that flows in from the center of everything. And that it's that flow towards us that is a much higher vibration of that light, love, joy, information frequency band that comes from that is the connection of Mother, Father, God, that divine energy. And that when that can reach us, because of the cycle that we're in, because we're in a time continuum, that it opens that doorway for that to come. So what does that mean? That means as soon as this first level gear, the smallest gear, starts to turn again and gets far enough out to push the largest gear out of sync with that opening. And it might take a while. It could be a couple of years. I don't know, honestly. In this first cycle, how many chinks of that gear need to move to turn a little bit of this one, to turn a little bit of that one, in order to make the doorway not wide open anymore, but starting to do this. So we've had multiple years up to this point where it's been slowly opening. If you look back to the harmonic convergence in 1987, I would say that's the beginning of when the gateway started to open and energy started flowing towards us. That was that first propulsion wave. And then as the gears chinked and it opened more, then we got successive more and more waves. The last one being in was it 2018 or 2019 with the event. It was in March of, I'm wanting to say 2018. But the event happened. So we're 3 years from that, which means we're that much closer. But if we have now the full access point, at some point it will start doing this. And the gears will remesh together, and there will be a new 26,000-year time cycle in motion that literally will lock you in either of those places. So the doorway is open for an extended time. It has been. We've been moving towards that. We had from 1987 up until now, so 33 years roughly, to move forward. Do we have 33 years on the other end? I don't know. But for me, if we look at the energy flow and the greatest amount of energy flowing to us right now, because it's that pinnacle, and I feel like we reached that pinnacle on December 21st last year, all right, here we go. And I'm being shown right now, it was actually, the pinnacle opened December 12th, December 21st, 2012, was the actual full-on opening, that we've had a full 9-year cycle of this amount of light coming in for expansion. And I know that there's been major amounts of expansion in that 9-year cycle in my own journey, absolutely, especially in the last 4 to 5 years. And that now, as we come off of that 9-year cycle, it's actually going to start closing in. So that we're at that pinnacle and it's going to start vibrating inward. So are you ready? Are you going to take advantage of it? Because what happens when it starts doing this? That energy band is less and less. It's still present. The doorway's still there, but it's less and less, which means it's going to be a little harder. The access point to get those, to maybe get your clairs open, to be able to connect to your guides. We've got a lot of support and help right now, and you have a massive team around you. So my encouragement is take advantage right now. Make it your priority to find that inner connection, to find and open. And is it for everybody? It's going to be for a lot of people, and even on a soul level. So knowing, man, I don't feel like I'm there yet. I don't feel like I've done enough. I don't feel like I've grown enough. I don't feel I've expanded enough. Well, from my gut feeling is those with a true-hearted soul, they already know which path they've chosen. They already know if they're moving forward to 5D and choosing expansion and light and communal harmonic and peace and harmony, or if they're choosing to stay distracted in 3D, that on a soul level they just have more to learn and they want to stay in 3D and play it out and see what goes on. That if you are 50.1% in a good heart space, knowing that there's divine in the world, knowing that there's goodness in the world, and trying your best to be that goodness and let it emanate out of you, that I feel like that's going to be available. And that maybe you start in the lowest level of 5D, because every dimension has levels and levels and levels that you go through, and maybe you're at 5.1 and your base level and you're like, okay, wow, I feel really good here, and this is allowing my heart to open more and to trust more and to let go of all my wounds and my traumas and to actually open my heart more and more, and you will grow and ascend rapidly through that space. And others are going to go beyond 5D. Others that are way out in the lead, they may jump into 7D and go, you know what? I'm not going to stop at 5. I want to keep going. I want to connect and do these things that are available in 7D. So the sky is the limit, really. But don't worry about the door as much as worrying about your heart space. And if you know that you have a transparent, pure heart and you believe in goodness and you want goodness in your life, you're already on your way. You're already on the path. And I will say, I talked in December about the divergent pathways that humanity actually has, the collective has in the two pathways very clearly opened up there, your soul has already chosen. So even that you're asking the question, that you're aware of it, there's a bit of fear. So that's the old trauma that just is false beliefs and stuff that has to be dropped away. The dragons can help you do that. To see where that fear pattern comes from. Why am I afraid I'm going to miss out? Why am I afraid the door is going to close on me? In some lifetime, or this childhood in this body, experience that. And that's why it's stuck in there. It's a simple clearing. It's a simple meditation with the dragons, and you'll get that peace. You'll get that clarity and that knowing. And then you can move forward. But your soul, even asking the question, even being aware that there's a 5D opening to get there, that there's a doorway to go through, that there's an ascension process happening, that there's a great awakening happening, that already is indicating you're on that pathway. So just keep going forward. Don't worry about if there's a gate going to close on you, but take advantage of really connecting to your heart. This is the time to connect into our hearts of what is truly calling us forward and what your passion is, what your joy is. Me being that previous A-type personality, I can say now I'm in a flow that is so different, and my stress levels drop dramatically because everything that gets done in a day is perfect. My whiteboard now has stuff that's been there for months. It's like, well, it'll get done when it gets done, and it's perfect. And it always is. Great example, the Oracle deck last year. I wanted it out in 2020 by August. I didn't even have all the artwork by August. It took double the time length I thought to get all the art pieces done. And then from August, when I finally got all the art pieces, early September, until January, I kept waiting on myself. I kept saying, all right, dragons, let's pull the book together. And if I forced it and I sat down, it would have never had the power that it has. So I just kept letting it, all right. Every time I tried to set aside a day, I would set aside a Friday to channel and work through, like, all right, what's each card going to say? Every single time I did that, my car would break down, I would have to go deal with it in the shop, or my kids would need something, they'd be homesick, or something would come in to keep me from being able to focus on that for the day. Because when I'm in a channeling space, I really need, like, the space to do it. And no interruptions, no distractions. And so when it came in January, I woke up one day and I went, oh my God, I need to sit down. And 3 of the cards came through right away. 3 of the dragons were there. Here's what we want to say. Short, sweet, powerful. And then the next day 1 would come. 2 days later 6 would come. And it was a beautiful unfolding in watching it be its own process. And then the knowing of how the energy shifted in January after the solstice and why I needed to wait. Because everything about 2020 was destruction, breakdown, chaos energy. Everything about 2021 moving forward for the next 2 years and 3 months or so, astrologically, is an alignment into building the new, foundations of the new, putting new structures in place. And that's the energy that the dragons wanted the deck to be created in, because it's building those foundations in people's fields who are working with the deck. That's a perfect example of just let go. Let the rhythm happen. Let your higher self can just drive the ship. And know that if it doesn't get done today, no matter what your goals are, do you know that in our 5th dimensional reality, we don't have 3-year and 5-year goals, 10-year plan? It's this moment now that's important. All that will resolve itself when you allow yourself to focus on now. And what is your heart telling you right now? You've got an appointment. Do you really want to be there? Do you really want to make that call? I gotta say, there's times when I still sit and go, do I want to have a session this afternoon? And I have to let it go and go, okay, there's one on the calendar. A few minutes before it, I can feel the energy come in of how excited I am to connect with that person and bring that information through for them, because it's such a joy when I'm in my reading space. And it's only my ego and my head going, I don't feel like doing it in the afternoon. But when I let it go, then all those appointments don't bother me. They're on the calendar and they're there because that's the perfect timing for that appointment, that meeting place. But there have been times when I've texted and said, you know what, I need 15 more minutes. I'll be late. Or can we reschedule? The old me would have never done that, ever. So this is me sharing so that you allow yourself more freedom in your constriction places. Find where you're constricted and allow yourself with the dragons to breathe through it. Breathe like a dragon if you need to drop into freedom within that. And a knowing of, does this need to be done right now or can it wait? Does this need to stress me out right now or can it wait? Can I let it bubble down? and just allow that to be part of your path. So I feel like that beautiful question led to a really great discussion. And that's what I love about these questions. So please share your questions with me. You can email them to araya@dragonwithin.com, or you can PM me through Instant Messenger. You can post them in the comments if you're open to public view of the questions. I find a lot of those there. And I will continue this list because I only got through about half of them next week, but I will add more if you guys have some to share. So if you don't have your Oracle deck yet, dragonwithin.com/lair, Lair. You'll find it in there under books and decks, along with all the plushies, the beautiful dragon pendants. This Labradorite is so powerful every time I put it on. It's very grounding for me, which is another piece with this soft energy coming in that I needed to pull down with all this propulsion forward. I feel myself energetically doing this with all the fire lineage energy around me. And this was like, all right, pull it in, ground it in, because that fire needs to turn within the fire chamber, within the dragon's fire chamber, within the belly, and hold space. Don't let it exude. Don't let it go out here yet. So hopefully some of that's insightful for you. I even have my plushies on the site there. This little Ruby, hi Ruby, is my little flame friend. All of those things go out. They're tools. They're not just decorations and ornaments around your house. The canvases, every time I look at different ones, I'm drawn to different ones on the wall. They're powerful and they speak to me and they bring me into a place. So when they get a transmission that I send out with each package for that person or for the person that's being gifted to, it's for your expansion. That transmission is intended, the intention I set with it is to go out for your expansion in this moment of your journey right now, to take you to your next place and to keep doing that. So that your expansion, what's the word I'm looking for, is exponentially allowable. That it goes much faster and more efficiently than it might without that. So that's my intention and hope for each of you guys. I look forward to seeing you next week with some more answers, and hopefully you'll send some more questions. So have a fabulous week. I love you guys, and we'll check in next Tuesday. Bye for now.